Which coaster do I want today? Boom, boom, boom. No, this one. I'm going to go with the Anthurian. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. If you are new here, this is a channel where I talk about houseplants and do DIYs on my shorts. So if you haven't, take a minute and subscribe to my channel. That way you can be up to date on all of my videos. If you are a recurring viewer, you know who this is behind me, and thank you so much for coming back and watching another video. Today I wanted to share just a update, not really even an update. I just wanted to share with you the cat and an update on his need for the camera. We recently went out of town for Thanksgiving and I was gone 7 days or more, actually, I think more. And I set up my plants and left, and I kind of wanted to show and just share a little bit about what it looks like to come back to them. So I have shared videos about what to do when you are going on vacation or out of town with your plants. And there are a lot of things you can do. And so this time I actually didn't do much of anything. I really did not prepare well or prepare at all. I just did not have the time. And so just to note that, you know, plants are plants and they're going to be okay. And it's okay to not like worry about them. I just kind of left. The one thing that I did differently on this time around is I left my grow lights on 24/7. So I've never done that before, but I got 2 CNC lights. Actually, no, I have 4 CNC lights. I did not realize that the clip lights have a power like button. And so my Gov lights do not kick those on automatically like they do my other CNC and Marina Grow lights that don't have the power button, like the separate power button. And so I didn't want to go without light, and I didn't know how to, like, you know, I can't turn them on and off every day. I'm not here. The cat can't do that. And so I decided to just leave them on for 24 hours a day. And I actually had just read or seen a video from House Plus Plants and I cannot remember. Why can't I remember that? Plant Journal. There you go. And he was talking about this, and she was wondering and asked him if she could leave the grow lights on and if they would be fine. And he said yes, because normally with your grow lights or the amount that you have, the plant is still not getting like the same amount of light that it would normally outside. And so it's not like you're going to, you know, overdo it with the sun. So I decided to just leave them on. Now, mine do not sit that close to grow lights, and they are not that high powered. So if you do have high powered, like I'm talking 35 watts. So this one above me right here is a 35 watt. I would not leave my plants like, you know, there are spacing issues that you can run into if you are leaving them on 24/7 and have them so close to your plant. It will burn them. But this is the plant it touches. This is my Monstera Thai constellation, and it sits probably like 4 feet from my tie. So I know that there's no problem. It's not going to burn keeping that on 24/7. My Marina Grow lights, these actually are on a separate timer here, my shelving unit. So I did go ahead and keep those on the same timing. Did I or did I not? No, I kept those on too. I kept those on too because I have CNC connected to that Gov. It's like all like crazy, but I have a lot of, okay, bye-bye. I have a lot of different, like switches and stuff in here set up. But I think I kept this entire office on 24/7. And then I kept my shelving unit on the side of my fridge on 24/7. And then my bedroom, I kept that as usual, which is on 12 hours a day from 8 to 8. So yeah, I just wanted to go through and show you first impressions of me walking into the house, being completely unprepared, and see what we've got. So I'm going to put it on the screen here. But for starters, I walked into the kitchen, and this is where just a few of my houseplants are. Like I have a few random stragglers on my kitchen sink that did just fine. That was a gloriosum and a syngonium. They're good. But my propagations vessel, I don't know, vase that sits on my kitchen table, it was looking a little droopy. And so I do need to change that water. I did change that water. But it was a little murky. I did not change that water before I left. And so I think that my Mayo eyes get really sensitive about watering and all of that, because I have noticed that their propagations, if I'm just doing it in water, they will wilt. And so I do have to change the water constantly. Otherwise, I wouldn't change them probably ever. I would just add water to it, but I did go ahead and change that. The plants in my living room looked really good. So I have a McDowell philodendron in there. It's always a-okay. It doesn't have any issues ever. I'm saying that, and now it probably will. But and then my mother plant of my Mayoi, it was good. It doesn't need a water. It's looking a little droopy. I haven't watered it in several weeks, and so it's probably due for it. But otherwise, it was pretty good. Then we move into my bedroom, and so this is where a lot of my plants are. Well, a lot of my plants, I would say, now are in here that I have this set up, but I still have quite a few plants. Most of the plants that are in my bedroom are more of my uncommon rare plants, I would say. And so immediately I looked at my Monstera Stanleyana and knew it was not good. That guy, I'm telling you, I've told you here before, Monsteras are not my favorite. I really struggle with like watering and just keeping the care up. And so that Stanleyana needs watered constantly, and I have repotted it. It probably needs to be repotted again. But it was wilted. And again, when I say I left didn't touch my plants, I didn't water them. And so that was probably part of the problem. It needed to be watered before I left, and now it really needs to be watered. And so I did. And some of the leaves came back, and some of the leaves will die off. Let me just be honest. So that guy looked really bad. The Anthurium alocasia, the Anthurium cleronevrum, did just fine. I haven't had any issues with that guy. It's a pretty easygoing Anthurium. And so the only other plant on the shelf that looked really sad was my philodendron mammii. And I'm really bummed about that because it's my favorite plant next to my burley marks variegated. And I had just repotted that, or no, I'm sorry, I just took the moss pole away and just chopped it back. And that was in my previous video if you haven't seen that. But the whole reason I pulled that out is because it needed watered. And so I was like, I'm going to cut it back because it needs to be repotted because there is too many, the roots are coming out the bottom. It needs to be repotted. It's not holding enough water, retention wise. And so I chopped it thinking like maybe I can alleviate some of the issues, take away some of the foliage and let it like grow back up until I can repot it. But yeah, I forgot to water it after I chopped it and did all of that. And so it sat there 7 days, 8 days maybe. And yeah, lost that leaf. So that was a bummer, but it is what it is. It will grow back. It's a really easygoing philodendron otherwise. My Anthurium queen, my queen Anthurium Warnaquianum, it did fine. It needed watered, but it looks really good. Actually, the new leaf that it just emerged started to fold up and be really like wavy, like the original leaf that is on the plant. And I was kind of bummed out about it. It's usually due to a watering issue or like not enough of something. And so I keep it watered consistently. And it was nice to see and come back to a plant that was, or a leaf that was a little bit more straight and flattened out. It has grown a lot larger since coming back, or maybe I just didn't notice that it was that large, but it did really well. Other plants in the corner, my Monstera, my Thaumatophyllum, my Epiprimnum albo did all right. The only thing I've noticed is that my Epiprimnum, it sits pretty close to the window and it is getting a lot colder and the leaves have started to yellow on it. So I did notice that I had a few yellowing leaves on it, but nothing that I could do. It's kind of just a wintertime issue. The only other plants that looked kind of sad were my philodendron Ring of Fire. It really needed watered. And my Ficus shibriana needed watered, which again, I didn't water any of these plants before leaving. So that was, curled up leaves. And then my pothos, Mandula needed watered. My Gloriosum that sits behind my Pink Princess needed watered. Basically, the entire shelf just needed watered. So I have a Syngonium Frost that I recently just chopped back. It needed watered. I feel like that was it. Like the only two plants on that shelf that were really bad was my Monstera Stanleyana albo and my philodendron mammii. Those were the two casualties of my lack of watering. Then in here, everything did pretty well. Like again, I kept all of my grow lights on. I had no yellowing leaves, no issues. My Jose Bono is actually pushing out an entirely new leaf, which is surprising because it just got done pushing out another one. So it just pushed out this one, and now it has this big guy behind it, and it's so beautiful. And I did share this in 2 videos pack that I chopped my original Jose Bono that I have had for quite a while back because it just reverted and it wasn't pushing out any variegation. And I come to find out it pushed out variegation, a variegated leaf. And so I looked at it and it does have a little bit of a variegation. It's gotten bigger, so it's easier to see now. But that was fun to see. But otherwise, every one of my plants did fine in here. However, I just now realized that my beautiful, philodendron Burley Marks variegated did have a casualty because I didn't water it. So this leaf is yellowing and dying off. This leaf is yellowing and dying off. And this leaf is yellowing and dying off. So 3 leaves, which I believe they are the oldest leaves. I know for a fact that this one is. And so I'm kind of okay with that, but not. This guy really needs to be repotted again. It's growing really well. Like, this is a beautiful plant. I love it so much because of the variegation and just how bubbly and fun it is. But yes, that was a little bit of a casualty on that. Otherwise, everything looked really good. So in my greenhouse cabinet, my grow cabinet, I did notice that my Syngonium frost that I recently propagated, one of the leaves was dying off, which the reason I propagated that, I just got that plant not too long ago. And I noticed that the leaves started to yellow pretty quickly, which Syngonium, they can be iffy. I will admit, I love Syngonium, but if you get into the, I feel like more uncommon ones can be a little bit tricky. And so I've had some uncommon Syngonium, and I have found that they're just a little interesting. And so I did notice that leaf, the mother leaf, was dying off. It was yellowing, and so I chopped it back. Same for the plant that was in my room. I don't know if I chopped those leaves off before I left or after, but that one was a little messy, I would say, I guess. Everything looked really nice. My Esqueleto survived. My Thai Constellation survived. The new leaf looks great. All of my propagations look great. The only thing that I guess was in there too is, since I left the lights on for 24 hours a day, every day for 8 days, the trays were really dried out. So I propagate in perlite or have some in soil, but I mostly do perlite, and then I put trays underneath of them, clear plastic trays, and then I water the trays, and then I just keep those watered, and they continuously soak up the water that they need. Well, when you leave lights on 24/7 a day, it totally dries them out. And so I came back to every single tray being completely dry. Some of the perlite propagations were completely dry, which was really surprising because they are in 4-inch pots, but completely dry. So there was a lot of just watering that needed to happen in there, but no casualties, nothing like my Mayoi or Mamii or my Stanleyana. So they all survived and made it. Now, I will say though, the one interesting part about the cabinet and leaving the lights on 24/7 is the humidity. So I came back and the humidity was at 60%, which usually in a day, the humidity is about, I would say 70% or higher, maybe 75, 78, which is good and what you want it to keep at. And I have not been turning on my humidifier in there. So I kept my humidifier off. Actually, the last several months, I've kind of just stopped filling it just to see what the humidity would stay at. And it's done really well. And so I thought while I was gone, I was like, the lights being on, I think that'll create more humidity because the heat, humidity, but it didn't. It lowered the humidity. So I thought that was very interesting. I do have 2 fans going in there 24/7 like usual, but the weather wasn't bad. The weather wasn't any colder than it has been every other day that I have been here. So I just thought that was interesting, that leaving the lights on lowered the humidity level. And I actually need to go look because I have a Govee Smart humidity reader or whatever, temperature and humidity reader. And so it connects to my phone through their app. And I wonder if it tracks what the humidity level was at, because I'd be interested to see if that was just like a one-off when I came home, it was that cold, or if it was that consistent through the week. But that was just an interesting like side fact that you have there. But those were it. That was really my casualty and successes, I guess. So successes are my propagations are doing super well. I do have a pop-up that I am doing in December 16th at the Honey Locust Farms in Rockwall, Texas. So if you are in the area, I am going to be selling plants and soil and other things at the booth. So yeah, we did. So if you're in the area, you can stop on by. But they're all doing really well. I was a little bit worried, but they have survived just fine. So I have other videos talking about what I would normally do for setting up my plants for me leaving for an extended period of time, because I know that Christmas is around the corner, New Year's, people are out of town. And so if you've never left your plants, yeah, that's what I meant to say. If you've never left your plants before and you are needing some tips, you can go check out one of my previous videos. But that was it for today. And so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.